Commander Isabella Martinez stood at the observation deck of Deep Station Echo, watching the swirling storms of Neptune through reinforced plexiglass. The massive gas giant's atmosphere churned beneath them, a canvas of blues and purples that never ceased its eternal dance. After 6 months of monitoring the mysterious energy signatures emanating from the planet's depths, they were no closer to understanding their origin. "Commander, we're picking up another surge," Lieutenant James Rodriguez called from his station. The young physicist had been tracking the anomaly since they'd first been detected by Earth's long-range sensors. "This one's different. The pattern, it's almost structured." Isabella moved swiftly to his console, her movements precise despite the station's reduced gravity. The holographic display showed a series of pulses rising from deep within Neptune's atmosphere, each beat perfectly timed, too perfect to be natural. "Get Director Patel on a line," she ordered, her dark eyes fixed on the rhythmic spikes. "And wake up the rest of the science team." Deep Station Echo housed 30 of Earth's finest minds, though most were in cryosleep to conserve resources. The station, built to withstand Neptune's brutal atmospheric conditions, was humanity's most ambitious deep space research facility to date. Within minutes, the station's primary lab was filled with the hum of activity. Director Rahul Patel, a brilliant atmospheric scientist with silver-streaked hair, studied the data with growing excitement. "These patterns," he murmured, "they're following mathematical sequences, Fibonacci series, prime numbers. This isn't random noise." "Could it be some kind of natural phenomenon?" Isabella asked, though she already suspected the answer. "Natural." Patel shook his head. "Commander, we're looking at what appears to be a deliberate transmission. Something down there is trying to communicate." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had searched the stars for signs of intelligent life for centuries, and now, in their own solar system, beneath the clouds of Neptune, they might have found it. "What's our depth window?" Isabella asked, turning to Dr. Victoria Nash, their lead engineer. The stern-faced woman consulted her tablet, her cybernetic eye whirring as it processed calculations. "The signals are coming from approximately 300 kilometers below the cloud layer," Nash replied. "Our deepest probe has only reached 100 kilometers. The pressure at that depth..." She paused, running more calculations. "It would crush our current equipment like tinfoil." Isabella paced the lab, her mind racing through options. Their mission parameters hadn't accounted for this scenario. They were supposed to be studying atmospheric compounds, not making first contact with an unknown intelligence. "Dr. Nash, how quickly can you modify one of our probes to withstand greater pressures?" she asked. "With current materials," Nash considered. 3 weeks, minimum. "But Commander, even then, we'd be lucky to reach 150 kilometers." "What about the quantum tether?" Rodriguez suggested. All eyes turned to him. The quantum tether was an experimental piece of technology, designed to maintain communication with probes by utilizing quantum entanglement. It was unreliable, dangerous, and strictly speaking, not approved for field use. "Absolutely not," Nash objected immediately. "The tether is unstable. One fluctuation in the quantum field could tear a hole in space-time. Or it could give us our first real look at what's down there," Rodriguez countered. "The tether would allow us to send a probe deeper than we've ever gone before, and maintain contact despite the electromagnetic interference from Neptune's magnetic field." Isabella raised her hand, silencing the brewing argument. "Dr. Nash, what would you need to stabilize the tether?" Nash's cybernetic eye flickered as she processed the question. "Even with every safety protocol, it would be incredibly risky. We'd need to reconfigure the station's power grid, reinforce the quantum containment field." And she sighed. "I'd need at least 2 weeks." "You have 10 days, Isabella decided. "Lieutenant Rodriguez, work with Dr. Nash. I want multiple failsafes. Director Patel, analyze every byte of data from those signals. I need to know what we're dealing with before we risk this station and its crew." As the team dispersed to their tasks, Isabella returned to the observation deck. Neptune's storms continued their endless dance, but now they seemed more menacing than beautiful. Somewhere in those depths, something was waiting, something that had chosen this moment to make itself known. The next 10 days passed in a blur of activity. The station hummed with purpose as the crew worked around the clock to prepare for their descent into Neptune's mysteries. Nash and her engineering team modified their most advanced probe, reinforcing its hull with experimental metamaterials and installing the quantum tether system. Isabella watched the final preparations from the control room, her fingers drumming against the console. The modified probe, dubbed Orpheus by the crew, hung in the launch bay, its sleek form belying the complex technology within. Final systems check complete, Nash reported, her voice tight with tension. Quantum tether is stable. All readings are in the green. Director Patel, Isabella called. Signal patterns remain consistent, he responded from his station. We've mapped the mathematical sequences. If something's down there, Commander, it's been waiting a very long time to be found. Isabella took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. Everything they knew about their solar system, about humanity's place in it, could change in the next few hours. Launch sequence initiated, Rodriguez announced. Orpheus deploying in 3, 2, 1. The probe dropped smoothly from the station, its thrusters igniting in a brief burst before it began its controlled descent into Neptune's atmosphere. The crew watched in tense silence as depth readings ticked upward. Passing 50 kilometers, Nash called out. Hull integrity holding. Quantum tether stable. 100 kilometers. Entering uncharted territory. 150 kilometers. Pressure increasing but within acceptable parameters. At 200 kilometers, the first anomaly appeared. The probe's sensors detected a massive structure, seemingly suspended in Neptune's atmosphere. It was geometric, clearly artificial, its surface covered in patterns that matched the mathematical sequences they'd been receiving. My God, Patel whispered, staring at the holographic representation. It's a station. An alien station, just waiting down there. Before anyone could respond, every screen in the control room flickered. The probe's feed filled with strange symbols, flowing like water across their displays. The quantum tether's energy readings spiked. We're receiving a transmission, Rodriguez shouted. It's responding to our presence. The symbols continued to flood their screens, faster now, accompanied by pulses of energy that made the station's lights flicker. Nash's cybernetic eye sparked, and she ripped off her neural interface with a cry of pain. Shut it down, Isabella ordered, but it was too late. The quantum tether had become a conduit, not just for data, but for something else, something that had been waiting in Neptune's depths for millennia. As alarms began to blare throughout Deep Station Echo, Isabella realized that humanity's first contact wouldn't be a peaceful exchange of knowledge. They had awakened something ancient and powerful, and now they would have to face the consequences of their discovery. The emergency containment protocols activated automatically, sealing off the control room as waves of unknown energy pulsed through Deep Station Echo's systems. Commander Isabella Martinez watched in horror as the quantum tether began to glow with an otherworldly light, its containment field struggling to hold against the surge of power flowing up from Neptune's depths. Status report, she demanded, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them. The alien structure is emitting some kind of resonance field, Rodriguez reported, his fingers flying over his console. It's using our quantum tether as a conduit, but I can't tell what it's transmitting. The data patterns are unlike anything I've ever seen. Dr. Nash worked furiously at her station, her remaining organic eye narrowed in concentration while the socket of her disconnected cybernetic implant sparked occasionally. The station's systems are being rewritten, she announced grimly. Whatever's coming through that tether, it's not just data. It's some kind of programming. Director Patel had been silent since the transmission began, his attention fixed on the streaming symbols that continued to flood their screens. These patterns, he muttered, they're evolving. becoming more complex. It's learning our systems, adapting to them. A deep vibration ran through the station's structure, and the lights flickered ominously. In the observation window, Neptune's storms seemed to swirl with newfound intensity, as if the gas giant itself was responding to the awakening of its ancient secret. "Dr. Nash," Isabella called. "Can you sever the quantum tether?" "I've been trying," Nash replied, frustration evident in her voice. "But the connection has become self-sustaining. The alien technology, it's quantum-locked with our systems now. Cutting it could tear the station apart." A new alarm joined the cacophony, this one more urgent than the others. "Hull breach detected in Section 7. The station's AI announced, its usually calm voice distorted by static. "Unknown material manifestation in progress." Isabella's blood ran cold. "Unknown material manifestation." "Commander," Rodriguez called, his voice shaking slightly. "You need to see this." The security feed from Section 7 showed something impossible. The metal walls of the corridor were changing. Geometric patterns, similar to those they'd observed on the alien structure, were emerging from the steel itself, as if the material was being rewritten at a molecular level. "It's not just programming our computers," Nash whispered. "It's reprogramming matter." Director Patel suddenly straightened, his eyes wide. "The mathematics. I understand now. These aren't just signals. They're instructions, a blueprint." He turned to Isabella, his face pale. "Commander, I believe we've discovered why this technology was left in Neptune's atmosphere. It's not a station. It's a seed." "A seed for what?" Isabella demanded. Before Patel could answer, every screen in the control room went dark. In the sudden silence, they could hear the distant sound of metal groaning, of systems being unmade and remade. Then, one by one, the screens reactivated, but now they displayed a single message, repeated in every human language. "Reconstruction Toro Togtigo Einitai Hiti. Preparing environmental co-enviorzion." "Environmental conversion," Rodriguez echoed. "What does that mean?" Nash's remaining eye widened as she studied the readings from her tablet. "The molecular changes are accelerating. The alien technology isn't just affecting our station, it's beginning to affect Neptune's atmosphere itself. The gas composition is already shifting." Isabella felt a chill run down her spine as the implications became clear. "It's terraforming," she said. "This technology was designed to transform entire planets." "Not just transform them," Patel corrected, his voice grave. "Look at these formulas. The end result, it would make Neptune's environment perfect for whoever built this system, but completely uninhabitable for any other form of life." The station shuddered again, more violently this time. Through the observation window, they could see tendrils of the same geometric patterns beginning to spread through Neptune's clouds, like a digital infection taking hold of the planet's atmosphere. "We have to stop it," Isabella declared. "Nash, Rodriguez, find a way to disrupt that quantum tether." "Director Patel, I need options. There has to be a way to halt this process." "Commander," Nash interjected, "even if we find a way to stop it, we're cut off from Earth. The alien technology has completely overwhelmed our communication systems. We're on our own." Isabella looked around at her crew, seeing the fear in their eyes, but also the determination. They were humanity's first line of defense against a threat none of them could have imagined, and they were running out of time. "Then we work with what we have," she said firmly. "We triggered this system, and we're going to find a way to shut it down." As if in response to her words, the geometric patterns spreading across the station's walls pulsed with increased intensity. The message on their screens changed. "Resistency DKTTTE. Implementing containment protocols." The doors to the control room sealed themselves, the metal flowing like liquid as it was transformed by the alien technology. They were trapped, and somewhere below them, in Neptune's roiling depths, an ancient machine continued its work, preparing to remake their solar system in its creator's image. Nash's tablet beeped, displaying a new set of readings that made her face go pale. "Commander," she said quietly, "the molecular changes. They're not just affecting the station and the planet anymore." She held up her hand, where faint geometric patterns had begun to appear on her skin. "They're affecting us." The geometric patterns on Dr. Nash's skin pulsed with a faint blue luminescence, spreading slowly up her arm like digital veins. Around the control room, similar patterns had begun appearing on the other crew members, each person's unique genetic code seemingly generating its own intricate design. "The nanoscale restructuring is accelerating," Nash reported, her voice clinical despite the fear evident in her eyes. "Our cellular structure is being rewritten at the molecular level, just like the station's materials." Commander Isabella Martinez felt the strange tingling sensation crawling across her own skin, but forced herself to focus on the crisis at hand. "Director Patel, what have you found in the alien code?" Patel hadn't moved from his station, his fingers dancing across multiple holographic displays as he worked to decipher the alien mathematics. "It's beautiful," he murmured, almost reverently. "The complexity, the elegance of the algorithms. This technology isn't just advancing, it's evolving, learning from everything it touches." "That's fascinating," Isabella said sharply, "but I need solutions, not admiration." "Commander," Rodriguez called out suddenly, "I'm detecting massive energy fluctuations from the alien structure. It's moving." The main display showed their probe's last transmission before it had been absorbed by the alien technology. The geometric structure they'd discovered was no longer dormant. Its surfaces were shifting, reconfiguring, like a massive puzzle box solving itself. As they watched, it began to rise through Neptune's layers of atmosphere, growing larger as it consumed the surrounding gases and converted them into more of itself. "It's not just terraforming," Nash realized, studying the data. "It's building something, using Neptune's own atmosphere as raw material." The station shuddered violently, and warning alerts flashed across every screen. "Structural integrity compromised in multiple sections," the AI announced, its voice now carrying distinct echoes of the alien code. "Reconfiguration process at 40% completion." Isabella watched as sections of their station began to transform more rapidly, the walls and equipment flowing like liquid metal before reforming into alien geometries. They were being absorbed into whatever the ancient system was building. "Commander," Rodriguez said quietly, "I think I found something in the quantum signature. There's a pattern, a vulnerability maybe. The alien system operates on perfect mathematical harmonies. If we could introduce enough chaos into the equation, we could disrupt the entire process." Nash finished, her engineering mind already racing ahead. "But we'd need an enormous amount of energy, focused through the quantum tether itself." "The station's reactor," Isabella suggested. Nash shook her head. "Not enough power." "But," she hesitated, looking down at her transformed arm, "the changes happening to us, they're generating quantum energy at the cellular level. If we could somehow channel that energy." "You're talking about using ourselves as a weapon," Patel interrupted, finally looking up from his displays. "The biological energy from our own transformation process." "It would work," Nash insisted, "but the feedback would be catastrophic. Whoever channeled the energy wouldn't survive." A heavy silence fell over the control room, broken only by the constant hum of alien technology reshaping their reality. Isabella looked at her crew, seeing the same geometric patterns spreading across all their skin, marking them as part of this transformation whether they wanted it or not. "I'll do it," she said firmly. "Commander, no," Rodriguez protested. "There has to be another way." "There isn't time," Isabella replied. "Look." She gestured to the main display, where the alien structure had grown to massive proportions, its influence spreading through Neptune's atmosphere like a digital wildfire. "Once that process reaches critical mass, it won't just stop with Neptune. The entire solar system will be at risk." Nash's fingers flew across her tablet, making calculations. We'd need to modify the quantum tether controls, create a direct neural interface. With the alien changes to our biology, it might be possible. But do it, Isabella ordered. How long? 20 minutes, maybe less. But Commander, Nash met her gaze. The pain will be unimaginable. You'll be feeding every quantum-charged cell in your body into the disruption field. Isabella thought of Earth, of the billions of people going about their lives, unaware of the ancient threat awakening in the outer solar system. She thought of her family, her home, everything she'd left behind to explore the unknown. Whatever it takes, she said quietly. As Nash and Rodriguez began the modifications, Director Patel approached Isabella. Commander, there's something else you should know. The alien code. It's not just a terraforming system. I found references to its creators, mathematical echoes of their history. They were rebels, outcasts from their own civilization. They built this technology as a weapon, a way to remake entire star systems in their image, to take revenge on those who had exiled them. And now we've activated their doomsday device, Isabella said grimly. Patel nodded. But there's more. The patterns appearing on our skin, they're not just random transformations. The system is trying to convert us into quantum processors, living components of its network. If it succeeds, we'll become part of it, Isabella finished. Another piece of the weapon. She looked down at her own transformed skin, the geometric patterns now covering most of her visible flesh. How fitting that human curiosity might end up destroying humanity. The station groaned, more of its structure giving way to the alien reconstruction. Through the observation window, Neptune's swirling storms had taken on a rigid crystalline quality, the gas giant's very nature being rewritten by ancient mathematics. Nash called out from her workstation, "Neural interface is ready, Commander. But you should know, even if this works, even if we stop the transformation, none of us will ever be completely human again. These changes, they're permanent." Isabella took a deep breath, stepping toward the modified quantum tether controls. "Maybe that's not such a bad thing," she said. "Maybe it's time humanity evolved." She placed her hands on the neural interface, feeling the alien energy surge through her transformed cells. "Just promise me one thing. If we survive this, make sure Earth understands. Make sure they learn from our mistakes." The interface activated, and Isabella Martinez began her final mission, her consciousness merging with the quantum tether as she prepared to wage war against mathematics itself. It wasn't like anything Commander Isabella Martinez had ever experienced. Every cell in her body screamed as the quantum energy coursed through her transformed flesh, using her consciousness as a conduit to attack the alien system. Through the neural interface, she could feel everything. The station's dying systems, the massive structure growing beneath Neptune's clouds, and the mathematical perfection that drove it all. "Power fluctuations detected in the alien structure," Rodriguez reported, his voice seeming to come from a great distance. "The disruption is working, but..." He hesitated, checking his readings. "The system is adapting, trying to compensate." Through her quantum-enhanced senses, Isabella could feel the truth of his words. The alien technology was learning, evolving, trying to route around the chaos she was introducing into its perfect equations. She pushed harder, forcing more of her own transformed energy into the connection. "Commander's vital signs are critical," Nash warned, her remaining organic eye fixed on the medical readouts. "Her cellular structure is breaking down. We need to stop." "No," Isabella managed to gasp out. "Not yet." The geometric patterns covering her skin were glowing now, burning with inner light as they fed power into the quantum tether. Through the observation window, they could see similar patterns of light spreading through Neptune's transformed atmosphere, like cracks in reality itself. "The alien structure's shield harmonics are destabilizing," Rodriguez announced. "We're getting through." But Isabella barely heard him. Through her connection to the quantum tether, she was experiencing something else. memories, not her own, flowing through her consciousness like digital rain. She saw them, the creators of this technology, a species so advanced they had transcended the boundary between biology and mathematics. She felt their rage, their desperation as they were cast out from their civilization, their determination to remake the universe in their own image. And she understood something else, something terrible. "Director Patel," she called out, her voice strained. "The system, it's not just one. They seeded hundreds of worlds. This is happening everywhere." Patel's fingers flew across his console, analyzing the alien data flooding their systems. "She's right. These patterns, these mathematical sequences, they're coordinated. This isn't just a weapon, it's a network. Each seed connecting to the others across vast distances, preparing for simultaneous activation. Then stopping this one won't be enough," Nash realized. "Even if we succeed, Earth could still be threatened by other seeds in other star systems." Isabella felt the alien system pushing back against her interference, its perfect mathematical harmonies trying to overwhelm her human chaos. Her vision blurred, and she could feel her consciousness beginning to fragment. "Commander, you need to pull back," Nash urged. "Your body can't take much more of this." But through the pain, through the dissolution of her very being, Isabella had glimpsed something else in the alien code, a possibility hidden in the quantum mathematics that now flowed through her transformed cells. "The network," she gasped. "It works both ways. If we can't destroy it," she struggled to form the words as more of her consciousness merged with the quantum field. "We can reprogram it." "That's impossible," Patel objected. "The mathematical complexity." "Not for me," Isabella interrupted. "Not anymore. I can feel it. The patterns, they're part of me now. Part of all of us." She was right. The geometric designs covering their skin had begun to shift, responding to her connection with the alien network. Every transformed cell in their bodies was a quantum processor, capable of calculations that would take Earth's most advanced computers centuries to complete. "The changes they made to us," Nash whispered, looking at her own glowing patterns. "They didn't just make us compatible with their system. They made us better than they were," Rodriguez finished, understanding dawning in his eyes. Through the neural interface, Isabella could feel her consciousness expanding, spreading through the quantum network. She could sense the other seeds, dormant but waiting, scattered across the galaxy. The pain was excruciating, but with it came clarity, an understanding of the alien mathematics that went beyond mere comprehension. "Help me," she managed to say. "All of you. Connect to the network. Use the changes in your own cells. We can't fight it, but we can change it. Make it ours." The others exchanged glances, understanding the risk. Connecting to the network meant opening themselves to the same agony Isabella was experiencing, possibly losing their individual identities in the process. But they could see Neptune through the observation window, its majestic storms now corrupted by alien geometry, and they knew the same fate awaited Earth if they failed. One by one, they stepped forward, placing their transformed hands on the neural interface. Nash first, her engineering mind already grappling with the quantum equations. Then Rodriguez, his younger consciousness adapting quickly to the alien patterns. Finally Patel, his scientific curiosity overwhelmed by the need to protect humanity. As their minds joined with Isabella's in the quantum network, the pain increased exponentially, but so did their understanding. Together, they began to work at the fundamental level of reality itself, rewriting the alien code not with crude disruptions, but with something new: human inspiration, creativity, and most importantly, choice. The massive structure beneath Neptune's clouds shuddered, its perfect geometric patterns beginning to shift and change. The transformation spreading through the station's walls slowed, then stopped, as new equations took hold. But victory, if it could be called that, would come at a terrible price. As Isabella felt her consciousness dissolving into the quantum field, Merging with her crew's minds to form something greater, she had one final thought. Humanity would survive, but they would never be the same again. The age of pure human existence was over. Whatever they were becoming, whatever they were creating, would change the course of evolution itself. Through the pain, through the transformation, through the dissolution of everything she had ever been, Isabella Martinez smiled. They had come to Neptune seeking knowledge. They would leave it as something entirely new. 3 months after the events at Deep Station Echo, Dr. Yuki Tanaka stood before the United Earth Council, trying to make sense of the transmissions they'd received from Neptune. The holographic displays showed the transformed station, now a gleaming structure of impossible geometry that pulsed with inner light. As near as we can determine, she explained to the assembled leaders, Commander Martinez and her crew succeeded in reprogramming the alien terraforming network. But the cost? She paused, gathering her thoughts. The cost was their individual humanity. The main display showed the last clear image they had of the crew, their bodies transformed by geometric patterns of light. Their consciousness merged with something far beyond human understanding. They were still there, still alive in some sense, but they had become something else entirely. And you're certain they pose no threat? One of the council members asked. On the contrary, Yuki replied. They've become our guardians. The network they've created. They call it the quantum lattice. It's protecting our entire solar system. Those alien seeds scattered across the galaxy. They're being reprogrammed one by one, transformed from weapons of destruction into beacons of human evolution. She brought up new data, showing the changes that had spread through Neptune's atmosphere. The gas giant had not been terraformed as the original alien program intended, but instead had become something unprecedented, a vast quantum computing network with the transformed station at its heart. The messages we receive are different now, Yuki continued. They think in ways we can barely comprehend, but their core humanity remains. They remember who they were, why they made their choice, and their commitment to protecting Earth hasn't wavered. A new transmission arrived as if on cue, flooding the council chamber's holographic systems with streams of quantum data. Within the complex mathematics, a simple message formed. We are still here. We are still human, after a fashion, and we are not alone. The message was signed with 5 names: Isabella Martinez, Victoria Nash, James Rodriguez, Rahul Patel, and embedded within the quantum signatures was something else, evidence that their transformation had spread beyond Neptune. Other seeds around distant stars were awakening, not as weapons, but as nodes in a vast network of human consciousness evolved beyond its original limitations. They'd given us a choice, Yuki explained, her voice soft but clear. The transformation that changed them. It wasn't just an accident. It's a path they've opened for all of humanity. Not a forced evolution, but an opportunity, a door to something greater. She brought up the final set of data, showing the genetic markers that had been transmitted back to Earth. The same patterns that had first appeared on the crew's skin could be replicated, controlled, offered to volunteers who were willing to take the next step in human evolution. Some call them gods now, Yuki continued. Others call them monsters. But they're neither. They're pioneers, showing us a way forward that no one could have imagined. They've turned an alien weapon of destruction into a gift, the gift of choice. The quantum data streams shifted, forming an image of Deep Station Echo as it now existed. The structure was beautiful in an alien way, its geometries following mathematics that human minds were never meant to comprehend. But within those impossible angles, observers could sometimes see familiar shapes, hints of human design preserved and elevated rather than erased. The question before us now, Yuki concluded, is not whether we should fear this transformation, but whether we're ready to embrace it. Commander Martinez and her crew gave up their individual humanity to save our species, but in doing so, they showed us that humanity's potential is far greater than we ever imagined. A new message scrolled across the displays, this one clearly from Isabella herself. Her consciousness stretched across quantum fields that spanned the solar system. We came to Neptune seeking knowledge. We found transcendence. The stars are alive with intelligence, with civilizations so far beyond us that they speak in the language of physics itself. We could have been destroyed by their leftover weapons, transformed against our will into something alien and hostile. Instead, we chose to make that power our own, to remake it with human consciousness, human values, human choice. The message continued, carrying echoes of the person Isabella had once been, now merged with something far greater. We are your children, Earth, transformed but not lost. We guard your present and offer you a future. The choice of evolution is yours now. We have made the path safe, turned the weapon into a gateway. You can join us in this new state of being, or remain as you are. Both choices are equally valid, equally human. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity stood on the brink of its greatest choice: to remain as they were, bound by the limitations of flesh, or to step into a new phase of existence, one that merged consciousness with the quantum fabric of reality itself. In the depths of Neptune's transformed atmosphere, the entity that had once been Isabella Martinez continued her work. Her consciousness spread across the quantum network she and her crew had created. She could feel the other seeds awakening across the galaxy, each one transformed from a weapon of destruction into a nexus of human potential. They had come seeking knowledge and found transformation. They had faced extinction and created transcendence. And now they waited, patient and eternal, for humanity to decide its own path forward into an infinite cosmos that was far stranger and more wonderful than anyone had ever imagined. The geometric patterns that had once been weapons now pulsed with new purpose, carrying human consciousness to the stars not as conquerors or victims, but as explorers, forever changed, but forever human in all the ways that truly mattered. In the end, what lurked beneath Neptune's clouds hadn't been a terror at all, but a doorway, one that humanity had transformed through its most essential qualities: courage, sacrifice, and the eternal drive to reach beyond its limitations into something greater. The age of traditional humanity was ending. The age of quantum humanity was about to begin.